we have the COO and the CMO of Hololoot. Y'all, so excited to have y'all on. Y'all doing some unbelievably cool things in the AR space and in the metaverse that I think people are sleeping on, but not for long, not after the show. So yeah, would love to just kind of understand like who y'all are as people and understand y'all's story, and then we'll dive into the project and talk about the metaverse.
Perfect. Thank you for having us, Ben. Very happy to be here. And I think we're good to roll. And whenever you feel like continuing, we're here for you.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear y'all's stories.
You want to go first, Olga? Or
You first.
Okay. So so I'm Maciek. As you've introduced me, I'm the COO of Hololoot. I've been on the VR and AR market for about 5 years now. Recently got into blockchain. This is my cat. She's gonna be walking here from time to time. Can't stop her. And for the last year or so, we've been working on Hololoot. It has taken various shapes, but right now we're heading towards the kind of world's first AR NFT generator in the marketplace, which means that we're building up an infrastructure for a new dimension of NFTs, 3D NFTs plus immersive technology of augmented reality, and we want to apply this to crypto gaming and to crypto metaverse, basically. So that's the kind of more of the project intro. Maybe a few words about me personally. I'm very interested about how technology affects day-to-day life. I consider myself to be a futurist in a sense. I'm not professionally trained to be so I'm more of an amateur, homegrown. I do have some opinions about how things will shape up, and I would love to share it with you guys. And thank you.
How about you,
Okay,
Olga?
so my name is Olga. I'm the CMO of Hololoot. We have been working for Hololoot together for, let's say, 4 months right now. I have graduated in marketing space and branding. So this is, like a little bit short info about me. I'm a technology fan, also a cat lover. So
Awesome. So let's kind of scope out to the, just to crypto in general. How did y'all really get into the space, and why did you choose the metaverse as kind of your subject matter, your industry of choice within crypto?
Right. So we started off. Do you mind? We started off by applying this technology to the furniture sector. But truth told, AR NFTs on their own, just the digital, the digital side is complicated enough. If you mix it up with a physical element, if you do like hybrid NFTs, physical and digital, it's just things get crazy, and you need a huge amount of funding and a huge team to kind of pull a project like this through. So we thought we're gonna just kind of remove the physical part, and then so we were left off with the digital. Truth told, in my opinion at least, gaming is at the forefront of each kind of developing technology as one of the few kind of sectors that is easy to develop. We're still undergoing a trend in the crypto world when there's a huge focus on NFT gaming, we want to be a part of this wave. We thought that the infrastructure is actually perfect for NFTs from games, because the plan is to take out gaming assets from various games and give them a space to kind of live in outside of the game. So yeah, I think this is a good use case that can be easily understood by pretty much anyone who's into crypto gaming. So it also has, by that, it has a potential for mass adoption. So we did that for we did that for the project to succeed, for it to have a big enough kind of audience to so we're able to basically sustain ourselves for the next couple of years in the development of the project and the product. But we also did that because it's something that it's closer to us than to the dev team than furniture. Some people get really passionate about furniture, but I'm quite frankly not that person. I'm more emotionally connected to certain games that really shaped me, and yeah, I guess I wanted to continue that in a sense. I feel like, so when I was first dabbling with VR about 5 years back, I felt like I'm back in the 90s again, because everything was very fresh and new and nobody knew what's going on. And even the way the games were built, they were like using some tricks back from the 90s, like some sprites and so on and so forth. And now it feels like crypto is kind of doing the same. For example, recently we've talked to a project called Meta Fighter, I believe, and it's just it's a remake of kind of Street Fighter, but in the crypto sphere. So it feels like the infrastructure is just being built, like the games are just popping up, and it feels like it's a very fresh and young and vibrant sphere, and I'm just very happy to be a part of it.
How about you, Olga?
So I don't feel really comfortable on the camera, to be honest. I'm a little bit shy, but I will try my best to respond to your questions. So if you could repeat one more time, then I would really appreciate.
Yeah, totally. I mean, basically the gist is like, why focus on the metaverse? Within all the different sectors of crypto, there's like 1,000,000,001 potential places to like put your time and effort. So what was really the reason why you personally wanted to get into the metaverse space, the NFT space, and the gaming space?
To be honest, here you have so many opportunities because it's still a brand new sector. So yeah, it connects also gaming and other fields of the other sectors, to be honest. So yeah, and oh my god.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I think it's a normal process to kind of get comfortable.
To be honest, I'm the first time on the camera, so
You're doing great. You're doing great. This is phenomenal. So basically kind of what I'm hearing y'all saying is like, you've identified a trend and you kind of pivoted from furniture, which you weren't that passionate about, and there wasn't really a really easy way to connect the physical and the digital. So you decided to pivot, and the space that y'all were the most passionate about, excited about, to the space to pivot to was the metaverse, NFTs, crypto gaming, and still bring the AR piece of it just into the new metaverse space. So that's if I understood correctly, and I totally agree with y'all that it's really, really exciting to kind of be where we are and to be in this space right now, because we're just at the forefront and we're just at the beginning of this really, really cool life cycle of just a new way to game, a new way to do this whole thing. So maybe we could talk a little bit about from the perspective of AR.
Yes.
What is it really? Like what is it? Help us quantify it, help us understand it. Because I feel like a lot of people, obviously we understand the physical world. We understand the physical world, and because we live in it, and then like this idea of completely virtual reality, like this probably a little bit easier to conceptualize because it's like Ready Player One. We're totally in the metaverse. But as far as like AR, I think the closest that we've seen to this in real life is like Pokemon Go, right? And so really help us understand, like, what do you see as AR? What does that actually mean for you guys, and for what you're doing? And yeah, maybe you could just kind of bring us up to speed there.
Sure. So as you said, virtual reality is a completely artificial, synthetic digital environment, in the style of Ready Player One. I would say it's kind of geared more towards hardcore gamers or professionals who wish to use it for trainings or other kind of industrial grade solutions. And you're right, with augmented reality, there hasn't been that many kind of enterprise solutions. And the kind of the most well-known example of AR in practice is Pokemon Go. However, I feel like there's a couple of things underneath that are happening. So I know for a fact that Pokemon Go, was kind of a project that had two layers, at least two layers. So you had the functional layer, where you could collect and battle for Pokemons and whatnot. But at the same time, in the background, there was a kind of like a map of world being co-developed by the players. So it's kind of similar to how Facebook is operating. It's on the surface level, it's just a information feed. Groups to talk to people who have similar interests, memes, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, in the background, it's a huge infrastructure that is serving a certain type of goal. So, in the case of AR, why it's so special is that it's actually anchored. It's strictly connected to physical reality. So, in a sense, you can create pretty much everything in VR, and it's a synthetic world, completely kind of detached from reality, which is also cool, But the real kind of value comes from, in my opinion, the intersection of reality and the physical reality and digital reality, because you cannot really copy indefinitely the physical reality. It's just there's just one version of it. I mean, so that makes the mission a bit more complicated, because you actually have to have in order to have full-fledged AR experiences, you have to have a full-fledged kind of AR infrastructure, and for that you have to use a lot of devices and encourage a lot of people to do something with those devices, and then you have to kind of store the data somewhere. So I feel like there's a huge race for what I would call an AR cloud right now. So if you take the iPhone, and if you want to use our app or any other AR app, the phone has to kind of scan your living area and has to know where to position the holograms. So the current state of technology allows you to do two things. You can either scan the real world area per session, play with it, put some holograms on top of it, and so on and so forth. And then once you close the app, it's gone. You have to restart the process again. The other tech allows you to actually, make a copy of the real world area and save it on the cloud. And this is where the giants are kind of, competing right now. But I'm talking about like Google, Microsoft, and bunch of other corporate entities. And yeah, the kind of issue with it is, these are kind of Web 2 classical, corporate entities geared towards profit maximization, with little regard for private data, to privacy, and yeah, I don't think that's the best vision of VR metaverse or AR metaverse that you can wish for.
Agreed.
So I don't have the kind of nerve to say that I'm going against Meta, because we're definitely nowhere near the scale or scope or whatever. But I feel like what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to come up with a kind of layer 3 application, play around with the AR infrastructure, see how it goes, see how we can integrate it with the blockchain. But in the long term, we also want to get into more about a kind of protocol solution that would allow users to scan their living areas and actually give those scans kind of back to the user and give them a choice whether they want to participate in some kind of an AR experience or and earn tokens for it, which is fair enough. This is something that is also the key difference between Web 2 and Web 3. In Web 2, Facebook takes it all, and in Web 3, you have to share the profits with the users basically pay them for the work, which I think is the way to go. So yeah, so on we're operating on two levels. We want to make a fun marketplace experience, spread the awareness around the AR tech, AR and NFT, but at the same time, we're also looking into the kind of AR infrastructure, and yeah, I believe that the augmented reality is the technology that will be the more is more geared for mass adoption, simply because it doesn't completely detach you from reality. It's easier to get in. It's more intuitive to understand, I believe. So I think out of these two technologies, out of these two immersive technologies, AR will be the first to kind of enter the mass adoption, and I believe it's going to happen, anywhere between 3 to 10 years. It depends on how the AR glasses are being adopted by the audience, and whether we're going to see brain implants or not, because this is something that also will be a part of the infrastructure. So I can keep going, but I feel like I'm talking too much. I'm looking at the counter of looking at the time, and you're silent. So I think I'm gonna just cut it at this point. And
You're good. It's very few people really understand this stuff at a high level, so it's important to, at least from my perspective, to give the platform to folks who do know what they're talking about, because I'm not an AR expert. You are, so that's why that's the whole reason of bringing you on the show. So from the perspective of like, okay, there's a lot of infrastructure that has to be built in order for AR to get big, and to be adopted. It seems like your thesis is AR is going to be it's going to happen faster than VR, probably because it is less threatening to like a mainstream person. Like I'm thinking of like a granny who wants to interact with her grandkids. There could be like a really, it would be much easier for her to put on glasses and like see a really cute like space dog or something floating around, much easier than her like putting on this whole headset and like going into a new world. So it's probably just more palatable from like a mass consumer standpoint. And we're definitely seeing a lot of big companies like your Apples, your Googles, etc., really making a move to get in there. And I think that's just a natural extension of like their technology, and it's just
Yes.
kind of easier for them to get in. So from a purely pragmatic perspective, yeah, it totally makes sense that that's going to happen, and that's going to come first. Now, from
A
the
little thing, if I may interrupt.
please, yeah,
I gave VR goggles to my late grandma, and she was amazed by it. Funny enough, she was like, "Yeah, that's cool." She was like holding HTC Vive, and I played her like a 360 movie. But then you had like people who were like my age and they didn't vibe with VR at all. So I get the age argument, but it really depends on the person too. But I think in the case of AR, it's just as you said, you still have contact with reality. It's not as threatening to who you believe you are as your ego, as an individual. So you still have some kind of a connection to what you normally are, plus the kind of digital copy of you or your avatar or whatever.
totally. So from the perspective of like interoperability, right? Interoperability. I want to make sure I say that right, so I don't sound like a dummy when we're broadcasting. But from the perspective of all of these different pieces of technology playing nicely with each other, right? Do you think that it's going to be a situation where by default one pair of glasses, whether it be Apple, Google, whatever, or whether it be a chip in your brain, it's probably a nod to Elon Musk's Neuralink.
Yeah.
But regardless of what your on ramp vehicle, if you will you be able to see everybody's everybody's like their own little AR universe, or will it only be siloed to like what that piece of hardware has been integrated with to be able to visually render? Like, how does that actually work?
That's a very good question. And I wouldn't want to live in a world where there's just one producer of AR glasses that is limiting, that is basically being a medieval kind of overlord.
Right.
But this is where we are really with kind of tech molochs, the both the Apple ecosystem and the Google ecosystem, they're kind of, they're not really compatible with one another, So I think this is a kind of old world paradigm. I don't think this is the case in the Web3, the kind of blockchain environment. I think that a lot of projects just have more incentive to work together to create kind of solutions that are intertwined with one another, because
Sure.
we as crypto projects, we don't have that much manpower, financing, R&D departments, yada yada, so we have to work together to be able to kind of move at the pace of where the corporate entities are moving. At the same time, so what you're talking about, in my opinion, is the idea of shared AR experiences. So if you have these experiences hosted on a blockchain that is cross-chain, let's say these experiences are hosted on Polkadot, for example, and all you need to have to access them is a MetaMask, then you can. I'm pretty sure that if you build an infrastructure to service these shared AR experiences on the blockchain, then you can have these kind of multiverse experiences. You can just have people like hopping from an AR experience to an AR experience, what have you. But if you do it the old way, I can imagine, there being a metaverse,
Right.
being limited strictly to just meta.
Then like
products.
Appleverse, Googleverse, etc. Yeah.
There's
No,
this
that
very
sucks.
good.
We don't want that.
There's this great short essay that I found in MIT Tech Review some time ago. I don't remember the name actually. I would have to dig it up. But it was basically like this dystopian, future where you basically were kind of like a serf to one of the kingdoms that would have their own currency, their own products, their own platform, and
Right.
it would be very hard to kind of hop between these kingdoms because, well, everybody wants to kind of seize as much power as possible, as many people as possible in their own kingdom, because this is what gives them the most profit.
Sure.
So I think we're there's like these two paradigms clashing, and I think this is kind of also like, if you want to essentialize it, it's like cyberpunk versus solarpunk in a sense. We can have like this amazing technology that works in a kind of like an open source way, in an anonymous way, that has a low entry of entrance, doesn't require you to bow down to a certain lord, or we can have this kind of couple of huge digital empires that will be closed environments. So I'm not sure where the world will go to.
Well, we already have one. We already have, like, the Web 2 overlord model exists currently. That is our existing paradigm.
Yeah.
I think what we're trying to do in like crypto and Web 3 is move away from that and go more to open. So my question then is, in order for it to actually be open, what is the unifying technology there? Is it going to be like one sort of, maybe like a new graphics company comes and they're like, okay, or a glasses company rather comes and they're like, okay, you put on our glasses and then any NFT on any blockchain, we're going to be able to render that visually in AR. Is that the way that it's going to be interoperable? Or is it going to be more of like, somebody like you guys that are building like you have a generator and a marketplace for AR metaverse NFTs? Is it going to be to where like the existing NFTs are going to have to be wrapped somehow to be functional with AR technology? Like, how does this actually come about pragmatically?
Well, so we are in talks with one of the AR hardware producers from China, and they are using Google's operating system at this point. It's a very good question, actually, because you have at least two kind of layers: the hardware layer and the software layer.
Right.
I believe the hardware should focus on hardware, so basically being a viewer that you can put any kind of software on.
Right.
That would have been beautiful. And so the kind of hardware company would have focused on being the kind of best technical device to kind of provide the software experiences with the best kind of equipment and so on and so forth. And then the software being the kind of content that you project onto the glasses. But I think the current state is that the companies are both producing the AR glasses, the hardware,
And the
the
software.
So it's still the corporate overlord model. And I think maybe we're arriving at a good idea for a crypto project.
So maybe the idea is for all of the existing hardware, because I think the big guys, the existing big guys in Web 2, they're kind of gonna, I think they're gonna nail the hardware before anybody in Web 3 is. This is just a pure opinion.
Yes, for sure.
Just from a pure, like, they have the resources to do that. But from a software perspective, maybe how crypto can do it is, maybe we almost build like a middleware translation sort of software that can help work with the existing hardware and almost translate what's being built in crypto land to be able to be viewed or rendered visually with the incumbent hardware. So like, use what the overlords are creating on a hardware level and just build middleware that can help us like experience the true openness that we want on a software level.
I think that's the way to go. This is how we approach it too, how we want to play it out. It's the only realistic way to go. However, we are still kind of at the mercy of of the policies, the kind of
Right.
legal departments. So there's this kind of ongoing situation. Hey, I just kissed you and you're biting me. There's this ongoing situation between Epic Games and Google and Apple. So basically, Epic Games introduced V-Bucks in the Fortnite game.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did is they wanted to bypass the 30% cut that Apple and Google are taking from each transaction that happens on the app publicly released on the App Store and the Google Play Store. So they created some kind of a middleware solution where they were getting 100% from each transaction that would happen using the V-Bucks, and they got banned. So they went to court, and Apple actually lost. But Fortnite is still banned. So I think it has to kind of pan out between the giants, and then whatever the legal decision will be, it's gonna open up a casus where a swarm of applications will come through. This is how I see it happening. It might be kind of woo-woo, but I think that actually might be the case. Because if you introduce crypto payments to App Store and Google Play Store, you're bypassing this 30% chunk, because there's no way they can participate in it, and you're taking away a lot of cash. Because at the end of the day, we're living in a capitalist, organized production society. So there has to be money flowing. So if you're hitting this kind of nerve, then then shit hits the fan. So it's also a struggle between kind of ideology of like cool NFTs and fun games, and just hard cash at the end of the day, that you're kind of interfering with, that is paying off the shareholders and the kind of traditional VCs and so on and so forth. So I think AR glasses that would be built, because I think Magic Leap and also Unreal, I think these two companies are kind of outside of these classical kingdoms. They actually they managed to build up hardware that is cutting edge and not being a part of a particular kingdom, in the same sense that, for example, HoloLens is a part of Microsoft's kingdom. So I can imagine, and you've given me an amazing idea. Maybe somebody will pick it up. An AR glasses that are constructed in a kind of cross-chain way, so you can basically plug any kind of software there, and it's just open to many open operational systems. I think that would have been amazing. Imagine cross operational systems, not just one, not just Mac OS or Windows. It's just whatever you want to put on your device, you can put on the device. I think that would have been really nice.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. So let's try to kind of quantify where Hololoot fits into everything that we're talking about. Because I think it's important what y'all are doing. And candidly, I feel like it's kind of still difficult to like fully wrap our brains around it. So maybe you can just give us kind of at a high level, like what exactly is Hololoot trying to accomplish in this space? And we've kind of set the foundation of, okay, we understand like AR is rendering something visually, rendering something digital visually in a physical world. So you put on the glasses, and instead of it just being a tree, it could be a tree with arms that is holding a sword and a shield, and now it is a boss in a video game that you have to fight in order to move on to the next level, for example. So that is what AR is. There are two components really: the hardware of like what you put on in order to then see out, and then the software of rendering the things that you see visually. So the actual content itself. So where does Hololoot fit into that whole paradigm and that ecosystem at a high level?
Right. We have kind of cut out a chunk that is manageable and kind of digestible given the funding and the team, the dev team, and the experience that we have in the field. So we are focusing mostly on the NFT gaming sphere, where we want to kind of bring the already existing NFTs to a higher level. So bring a lot of kind of 2D NFT projects into 3D, and then also apply immersive technology of augmented reality to it. So we're working with Engine in regards to NFT minting, but we also are developing a kind of native NFT minting solution. So this is the kind of, so the pipeline is like this. You have either a 3D object or you're basically getting one. We either do it for you, or you get it from a freelancer or whatever. So the kind of first component is the 3D model, and that's the building block of Hololoot. So you take that 3D model and you put it through our AR NFT minting service. So it does two things. Firstly, it creates the NFT, that is the kind of metadata of this 3D object. So it's not just a 3D object anymore, simply that you can drag around and download and whatever. It's just it's more of like a proof of origin, or kind of like a digital ownership that is attributed to this 3D model. And then this 3D model is being taken from a local hard drive and being put on a cloud service. Right now, we're using Microsoft Azure, because we're still at the kind of interim between Web 2 efficiency and Web 3 kind of ideal solution. So this 3D model is being hosted on the Microsoft Azure, but we are also looking for more decentralized way of storing the 3D files. So these two elements, they make up the kind of package of information that is then being automatically sent into our AR app. So to kind of recap, you have the 3D model on your local drive, you upload it to our cloud service. From this cloud service, you can plug you can plug this cloud service to various different projects. Right now it's plugged into our AR app. So once this 3D object with the metadata is sent to the AR app, voila, you have an AR NFT that you can interact with. And for the creator, from the creator perspective, it simplifies the process of basically creating AR NFTs. You don't have to do any coding. We make it simple for you, and from the perspective of a user, you basically gain a new kind of immersive environment where you can interact with the NFTs that you might own or you might be interested in. And for the games that we want to kind of bring to the ecosystem, this is hopefully a new way to engage with their communities by using these immersive technologies. So to give you a kind of other use case than this fighting tree that you have said before, let's say that we come up with a great product and we reach out to Star Atlas or Sidus, and they're like, yeah, guys, this is cool stuff. Let's take some spaceships that we are using in the games, and let's turn them into digital collectibles that some people can store in their gaming rooms, living rooms, what have you. So that's kind of the first step. And secondly, we want to go into location-based AR NFTs, so they can say, okay, let's do a marketing campaign together or an airdrop. But this time we're going to be airdropping spaceships, around different places all around the world. And you go to a city center of Lisboa, and you can participate in this AR NFT location-based event. So this is kind of like a single AR experience, and later on, you can go into what you have said. So the shared AR experiences. So this would go, you would start off with a living room, then into kind of like a single AR experience, and then you would combine the single experiences into multi, location-based AR experiences. So this way, you're kind of starting to create an AR metaverse, because if somebody enters your room, for example, they can actually see with their phone your NFTs. So now your room becomes an AR NFT marketplace in a sense. So you don't have to sell it on a website. You can actually invite somebody over, and the same way as you sell a painting or a sculpture or whatever, you can flex with your digital goods. So the more advanced the kind of AR hardware becomes, I think the more common it will be for AR NFTs to be present in our everyday life. So this is what we want to tap into, and we, in order to make it an achievable plan rather than just a vision, we have to take it step by step and then start from small chunks and then develop into something bigger. So the first step is to basically take the 3D assets from various games and put them as digital trophies in people's living rooms, see how they react to it, if it's cool or not, how people feel about it. Then go on into single AR experiences, and then go into multi AR metaverse experience.
That's cool. So I'm almost envisioning this being a way to make like PFPs way cooler, because you could almost have like a fully AR museum that you have all these NFTs that you're collecting. Maybe they're in-game assets, maybe they're just cool art or whatever, and then you're able to like build a cool and immersive experience IRL with making them AR compliant. If I'm not sure the best way to say that, but like, yeah, that could be really cool. And then location based as like a marketing tool. You could say like, okay, we're gonna put like like a bunch of dragons around the world, and the first people to go find and describe the dragon wins some prize or something cool like that. So that'd be really interesting. And then I could totally see how that would evolve over time. Cool. Yeah, that's really interesting.
It can go even more hardcore. There's some cities in the world that are already fully 3D scanned for the purpose of autonomous driving cars, for example.
Oh, cool.
So I can also imagine like you being able to put some kind of a layer on top of your entire experience, in a sense, or on top of the entire city, or on top of your entire apartment. Like you can buy a skin for your apartment, in a sense, for a party, for example. So it's endless possibilities, really.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I could even see that with like with music festivals too, where with you purchase your ticket to the festival, which all tickets to all festivals should be NFTs. Everybody just do it. Start doing that. It'll make way more sense. Just do it. But then with your ticket, it should come with a pair of glasses or something, and then you enter into this like really cool festival space, and like you have your glasses on and you're going through, and then not only would you be able to listen to the music, and it'll the music will be fully immersive because of the just the size and the grandeur of the speakers and all that stuff, but imagine the light shows that are possible, and the just ridiculously cool experiences that you can create with this kind of stuff. So I almost see kind of some of the first use cases being more art and music focused, and even like watching movies, and then over time, and it could be, I could see it in games as well, but then over time, once it's really interactive, and I have no idea how it gets to that point from being just like more of a something you see versus something you can interact with. But I think almost that's like the more of like a later down the road type of thing. And actually, I want to ask you, what would it take to make those the assets interactive with people? Like, at what point, or what would need to change from a technological perspective, hardware, software, et cetera, to go from, okay, this is just something that's being rendered visually that I can observe, to, okay, this is like a really cool thing that's not only rendered visually, but something that I can interact with, where like if I wave at the, at the VR dragon, it'll wave back, or, do whatever dragons do.
Yeah, so it's already implemented in VR, and in VR, you are the player, you are the kind of pawn from the kind of game engine perspective. So you have the controllers that kind of map your hands, for example, and I'm not sure if you have tested Valve Index, for example.
No, but it's on my list of experiences to try.
So you have these
like sensors almost.
Yeah, you basically wrap it around your hand, and so you have your fingers free to move, right? And so
Cool.
if you reach out to something, you can actually pick it up like this, and you can pick up a ball, or you can make a gesture in the social VR apps, so on and so forth. So the same tech is being used in AR. There are already existing software that is mapping the hand, for example, so with AR glasses, for example, you will be able to use both of your hands as controllers, so you can and I think you would be able to do it even right now, since
Wow.
It's not that far off. So basically, if you had the AR glasses, and if it scans the area, and if you place a hologram somewhere, let's say it's a ball, your living room, let's say this table is the level of the game, in a sense, and your controller, your hands are the controllers, and the hologram is just an asset in a game, in a sense. So if the hand is mapped, and if the table is mapped, and the ball is a hologram, and the application that is kind of putting it all together knows that this is a table, this is a hand, this is a hologram, and the hologram is programmed in a way that it responds to the physics behind the gesture of the touch, then you have the kind of recipe for interactive holograms. We're actually looking into adding hand tracking and these kind of interactions. But if you want to have the dragon being able to wave at you, you also have to add artificial intelligence to it. So it knows that, okay, there's a player, and I have to react to this player in a certain way, because this is how I am programmed, so in a sense, it's like creating a game in real world, and
Exactly.
and as the human being, the player, basically, not the character in game. You're just like, you're projecting the player onto yourself, and with advanced AI, these experiences can get really intense.
Cool. Well, I'm excited for that future. I'm really excited. So, I want to scope out. I appreciate you, breaking it down and going so in depth. And I know I'm asking questions that are like very difficult to like, be. It seems like you're pretty in tune with like technically what it takes to pull these things off. So to like, I know I'm asking questions that are monstrous in scope, and then I'm like trying to get you to almost translate from like technical into like a simplified version, so it's easier to understand. So I recognize the difficulty in that aspect of some of the questions I'm answering.
I'm not a technical person, so I'm actually pretty good at trying to understand technical aspects from a functional perspective, from a business perspective, because this is my job on a daily basis. I'm talking to people who are actually technical, who are able to build it, code it, and do it in a graphical way. And then I have to kind of make sense out of it and then give it to the management or the customers or the
So you're the
audience.
translator. You're the translator.
I'm trying my best to translate. So that's why questions like this, they really get me going. That's why I can talk a lot about them. I'm not sure if they're 100% accurate. Some technical people might disagree on a certain on certain details, but I think the gist of it is there.
And if there is anybody who does disagree, then I would invite them to comment and chime in here, because we're not territorial on the show.
Yeah.
We're seeking the truth. So let's work together to get to the highest form of the truth that we can, because we're all on a journey here.
Yes, sir.
Mission is to grow the metaverse together. So that's what we're doing. But yeah, cool, man. So, hey, I appreciate you diving in there. I want to scope out a little bit and ask you to put on your crypto gaming hat for a second. Based on, from your perspective, where are we in the life cycle of crypto gaming? And where do you see crypto gaming going? And maybe you could touch on a few key milestones. And it doesn't have to be AR specific. I'm sure that'll be a part of some of the key milestones. But like, where are we? Where are we ultimately going? And what are going to be some of those milestones along the way?
Well, I think we are looking at a huge paradigm shift. So I am a fan of David Foster Wallace, and he had this commencement speech once, and I think it was one of the last things he said or something. But he was like pointing to the fact that a fish cannot really see its water when it's immersed in it. So for the longest, when I was playing games on Steam, for example, I thought it's normal to not own anything and not get paid for playing. I thought it's because you had like this ideological cloud around it, that it's a lifestyle and that it's just fun, right? But on the other hand, on the other side of the kind of the process, you have a company that is making an enormous amount of cash, and they're basically saying fuck off to anyone who's even trying to get a penny out of it. So I think this is a huge paradigm that is taking place, that gamers are actually able to participate in the revenue of the game. This is, in a sense, this is so natural, and this is the way it's supposed to be from the inception, in my opinion. So I feel like the crypto gaming is just warming up. There's a lot of people saying that it's a bubble and that it's gonna burst. But I don't really think so. From my observation, this paradigm shift of the business model is a huge growth driver. I think we're just starting to see what's going on. And one more thing, that might be a little bit woo-woo, I don't know, is I see a massive shift in attention from developed countries to developing countries, in the sense of who's actually participating in the emerging tech. So you have an untapped potential in places like Indonesia, for example, or Vietnam, or these are the two brightest examples that come to my mind. Like Indonesia itself is as populous as the US. India, 5 times more populous than US. And the games that are geared towards developing, economies, they're built in a way that pretty much anyone can become an Axie Infinite trainer, in a sense. I've seen people getting scholarships to play those games and so on and so forth. This is, unimaginable in the kind of old world of gaming, where you have professional gamers who are raking a lot of cash, and then there's pretty much, you know, like streamers or something, but there's no direct kind of share in the game economy itself. So, you know, yeah, I feel like we're just seeing the kind of explosion in the field. As I said, you know, I see a lot of projects just popping up that are kind of taking very basic ideas and bringing them to crypto. So it means that there's still a lot of room to develop simple ideas. Those projects are raking in a lot of cash from investors. You know, obviously some will fail, some will succeed, but there's this interview that is done by Justin Kan and the CTO of Coinbase, I always forgot his name. I had to memorize it somewhere, and I wouldn't be able to pronounce it properly, unfortunately. But let's say the CTO of Coinbase. Sorry, he's like. He's like using this metaphor that you know, he's saying that, you know, the potential of blockchain is like imagining that he's comparing what happened in China during the 80s, I believe, or something like that, where when China opened up to the market reforms and they introduced open economy. Firstly, they started with like special economic zones, and then the entire kind of population got access to you know, open market kind of operations. And what we see 30 years down the line, 40 years down the line, is a hegemoth that is basically taking over the world as we talk right now. You know, we see the new master, the new national master that is able to overthrow the US, you know, which is, it's like 20 years ago, it seemed almost, you know, impossible. It seemed like Pax Americana will be indefinite and forever, you know, and right now, you know, it's changing. So I believe that, you know, we can see the same thing in crypto gaming versus traditional gaming. Traditional gaming is like $700 billion right now. And this is divided, I believe, into 100 companies, maybe more. I mean, the majority.
Of course.
Yeah. So if you break apart these, you know, 100 monopolies, you know, I feel that there's an exponential kind of place for growth. You know, if everybody gets a chunk of the pie. So, you know, I feel like there's a that this sphere is just kind of coming. This is just shaping up. But this is my perspective. I'm also curious about your take on it, if I may kind of bounce back the question.
Yeah, totally. And this will kind of be how we wrap up the show. But basically, what I see is a chance, an opportunity for us to actually move towards a more fun way to make a living as people. I actually don't think crypto gaming and the metaverse is just going to be for gamers. I actually think like the entire gig economy workforce is going to come into GameFi, and people don't want to do like menial data entry tasks. They'll want to play games instead. And it may still be grinding, but it'll be a different kind of grinding that's at least more fun. And so people are going to move to that, and they can earn more a lot of the times. And then eventually when the really, really fun games come out, this is going to be like a complete game changer, because some of the games are really fun. And I'm really inspired by, some of the games that are doing a really good job of making it fun. But then once we see like mega fun games at the scope of like World of Warcraft or League of Legends or things like that, it's only going to accelerate this whole thing. And then once we see massive liquidity enter the GameFi market. It's so small right now. DeFi overshadows it by at least 3 or 4 times, as an example. So once we see real liquidity come into the market, that will enable many, 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 many more players to come into the market because there's enough capital to actually allow them to play and earn. And then as countries get their people online, there's still tons of people that don't even have an internet connection. So as people come back up even more, there's a ton of people in the world that don't even have electricity or running water. So once these folks get electricity, and then once they get online, what are they going to want to do? They're going to want to play games. And what are they going to want to play on? They're going to want to play on games and platforms that they can earn, because a lot of the times people are surviving on $1 a day. Well, you can make much, much, much more than that with the existing crypto games. So it's going to be a better way for people to make money, which means all the attention's going to go there and all the workforce and all the people are going to go there, which means the economy is going to shift and focus on that. And then you have so many different things that happen because of that, because crypto gaming under the hood is still DeFi. Like DeFi is the underlying technology. So DeFi is going to want to invest in crypto gaming because crypto gaming is going to onboard the next billion users. So everybody's going to want to invest, they want to grow their own projects, so they're going to invest in the thing that's going to help them grow their own projects, which are the games. And it's just a natural human thing to want to play and to play games. And so once all these things kind of happen and come online, both figuratively and literally come online, we're going to see people flock to it. And so the ones who are early and the projects who are early, the people who are early in this space, not only are they going to be fabulously wealthy, but they're actually, and I say they, but we are actually going to be doing a lot of good in the world, because somebody in a destitute country can come online, have fun, make a living, and do it in a way that once we crack some of the issues of economic sustainability with these, within game economies, be able to make a full-time income just from playing games. And that's way better than doing menial tasks. And the menial tasks aren't going to be here forever, because artificial intelligence is going to do most of that for us in time. The cost of energy is going to approach zero over time because we have sustainable energy. So a lot of the things that we need, like menial labor, very basic labor for, is not going to be necessary. So people are going to have a lot more time on their hands, and they're going to want to earn money. And so what are they going to do? They're going to go to games. They're going to play games. So I think,
great analysis.
And clearly I'm super freaking biased because I started the Crypto Gaming Institute, but I really think that games are going to be and continue to be just one of the most important facets of humanity. And that's where, in crypto gaming in specifically, is going to be where everybody flocks once it becomes scalable enough to handle that amount of traffic and those numbers of people. So that's kind of my take on it. I would actually love to kind of bounce it back to you and see what your thoughts are on that analysis.
I completely agree with you. It's perfect. I like the way that you have looked at it from kind of like a materialist perspective, pointing out to the fact that, a lot of people will lose their jobs and a lot of people will get online. I know that's, the biggest players are also looking into developing markets. I hate this word, but I don't have a better one. So I can see it even with the people that we're interacting with. There's a lot of people from Indonesia, Vietnam, Nigeria that I would say they're being ignored by classical companies. If you're able to make a living out of gaming, I think that's a dream for a lot of people, to be honest. So
I think so too.
Why not?
I think so too. Cool, man.
It's ethical in a sense, it's more ethical than forcing people to stay in factories or
exactly.
I mean, I am talking from a privileged position, but this is how I imagine it.
Well, yeah, because it's eventually not going to be necessary, because we'll have robots to do that stuff. So Then what are the people going to do? Well, have fun. And do what people should do, which is play. Like we're not built to be like these freaking robot workers that are just like used to accomplish very basic tasks. Like we're
Very right.
like people are special. People are valuable beyond just like the amount of freaking times they can take a hammer and smack it on a thing. Like we're valuable because of how creative we are and how smart we are and what we can create and build and produce. So this gives us like an avenue to express that in a really interesting way. So yeah. Well, cool, man. Hey, I know we're going over time, but I really, really appreciate you and everything that you're doing over at Hololoot, and I appreciate you taking time to, take a little break from all the building and producing and translating that you're doing to come and share some thoughts on the show. So, thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Ben. It was one of the most stimulating conversations I had, even though I was talking the most of the time. But yeah, I felt like I was heard by you. You also, were a great conversation partner. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you, and to everybody watching and listening, I appreciate all of you. Y'all rock, and I will see you on the next episode.